the theme was to keep dreaming. You have a quote in here where you said, I want to challenge you to dream. Even if you aren't a kid anymore, you should still dream and let those dreams motivate you to action. And you go on to say, if you plant these seeds and they spur you to action, then I promise they'll germinate one day. And I thought that was so good because I feel like the older I've gotten, and I just feel like so many people are so complacent and they're just like, this is who I am. I'm an 85 shooter. This is my career. This is all I'm going to be, and it's like, it drives me crazy. Like it literally drives me crazy. Like every year, if I'm not moving up in some area, I'm like sick to my stomach about it. And it happened in 2021, right before I started this brand. Cause I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm so complacent and I hate it so much. And so when I read that, I was like, I wish every golfer dreamed bigger and had audacious goals. So can you talk about what you think about, like, or how you would reference players to set big goals and just like, you never know what can happen, right? I mean, I just feel like so many people aren't setting them at all. So if you could maybe expand on that chapter and what you learned from Nick, I thought that was amazing.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Nick Price, multiple major champion, former world's #1 player. The podcast downloads were desperate. They were dismal. And I remember being so disappointed. And his was one of the chapters I put in there because the thing is just, it's like a gold mine in there in that chapter and everything in that podcast. And I listened back to the shows and they were so I was so green at what I was doing there that having to listen back to the thing was nauseating for me. But anyhow, that's an aside.
That happens to everybody though, right? That's a good thing.
Terrible. Um, but I remember listening to Nick because he's been like a mentor to me. And I remember listening to him describing that he was a young man in Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, in South Africa. And we didn't have live golf on TV back then. And they used to get like 8mm reels or whatever it was that would get broadcast because they were sponsored by the cigarette companies over there. And all that they got to watch basically was the Open Championship. And he was a young man, and they had some great golfers back then. I mean, Mark McNulty, Simon Hobday, Dennis Watson, Nick Price. They had some unreal golfers. And he was like, I want to win the Open one day after just watching it on TV. And I remember when he said that to me, I'm like, you know what? Every single one of these guys, even the guy on the wall behind you, Tiger Woods, the stories go that he had the picture of Jack Nicklaus on the wall behind him with the 18 majors. We all have a dream. Tiger Woods didn't start on the top of the pile. Nick Price, for the longest time, was talented, but inconsistent. And he'll tell you that. But he had a dream and he kept to it. And there's I think the quote I built the chapter off, along the dreaming thing was when he got to the European Tour. The European Tour is very convivial and the players travel together. And back in the day then, it was legends and Seve Ballesteros was always out there. And my days teaching over there, Seve was always around the chipping and putting green. And he never practiced that much. He'd always come talk to people and then, look at your clubs and stuff and then hit a few shots. And Nick talks there, and there's a quote that I built off where Nick's like, and I always used to, because I could hit the ball, but my short game wasn't that good. I always used to go and find Seve. And I'm paraphrasing, and I go and just listen to Seve. And then it would always turn into some sort of chipping contest. And he goes, and I would lose every single time. And he goes, but that was the best $25 I think I ever invested ever, because the time spent around Seve Ballesteros, around a chipping green, because I'm dreaming to win, realizing this is what I've got to do. So why not just go and ask the best? He goes, that sort of sent him on the way. And the funny thing is, there at Lytham, I think it was, he was in the final group because he had spilled the Open Championship a couple of times before he finally won his at Turnberry. But in the final group, he was alongside Seve. And Seve pipped him at the end, hitting some unbelievable short game shots and getting up and down from everywhere. But Nick speaks of him with such reverence. And then I'm listening to this guy who's a Hall of Famer and a major champion and talking about how great this game is and Seve and my dream and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, this guy's just like us. And I hope that with that chapter, I sort of passed on that message because he was so cool, because he quickly then flipped from that to the place now where he is an elder statesman and he's helping young golfers like young South Africans and stuff, and basically bringing them the wisdom of all of his years. So So he was a dreamer. He achieved it. Nice passing it all on, and he's a great man. And when he agreed to allow me to use him in the book, I was like, this is good because I'm definitely going to. I think I might have snuck it in there anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, hopefully everybody can just take, wherever you're at. I don't care if you're 30, 50, 60, we got all kinds of different ages listening. Set some dreams. You never know what can happen.